Alphonse XIII of Bourbon was King of Spain from 1886 to 1931. He was the son of Alphonse XII and Maria Cristina of Habsburg. In 17th of May of 92, when Alphonse XI was 16 years old, he took the power. He was the King of Spain since his birth until the proclamation of the Second Republic. The political system of the Restoration went on, but difficulties increased for several reasons. Industrialization increased the number of industrial workers. Urban population increased and it was more difficult to manipulate the election and the cities. The influence of the opposition parties increased. Some politicians of the dynastic parties tried to make reform from above to avoid a revolution from below. Antonio Maura from the Conservative Party and José Canalejas from the Liberal Party. Antonio Maura was the Prime Minister from 1903-1905 and from 1907-1909. His reforms were stalled by the first critics of the Restoration under the Alphonse XIII. The tragic week 1999. After the Conference of Algeciras, Spain received a protectorate in the north part of Morocco, Rif. There were minerals there, and the army considered Morocco's possession as a good way of recovering the lost prestige in 1898. The Berber tribes of the Rif opposed the Spanish occupation and fought against their troops. In July 1909, the tribes defeated the Spanish troops in Barranco del Lobo. The government decided to send more troops to Morocco, and they called reservists of Barcelona. This conscription provoked a strike and popular uprising in the city that lasted for a week. The government had to send the army to suffocate the revolt. This fact provoked a general protest against the government, and the king dismissed Maura. The liberals formed a new government. The liberal José Canalejas tried to make some reforms to reduce the power of the church and make conscription more egalitarian, but he was killed in 1912 and the conservatives came back to power. Spain didn't participate in the World War I. The country sold products to both factions at war. Export increased and deficit reduced, but the effects in Spain were negative for many groups. Prices increased, but salaries didn't, and protests increased. It was a critical year everywhere. The 1917 crisis was the second critical moment under Alphonse XIII. There was a triple protest, but the protests were not coordinated. The military protests were related to the loss of purchasing power and the premonition system, which benefited the military destiny in Morocco. The government decided to close the courts. The opposition politicians responded to the closure of the courts with a call to a deputies' assembly in Barcelona. They asked for a constituent court. Only 10% of the deputies went to Barcelona, and the government dissolved the meeting pacifically. The unions called for a general strike, but the government dissolved it by using force. Protests went on, especially in Andalusia. In Andalusia, farm laborers occupied and distributed land for 3 years, and in Catalonia, industrial workers went on strike to improve their working conditions. Patrons answered with lookouts and high gunmen to treat the members of the unions. Tension increased and street confinement became usual in Barcelona. The Spanish troops were defeated again in Morocco, in the disaster of Annual. More than 12,000 soldiers died as a consequence of an imprudence of the general in charge. The Cortes ordered investigation to clarify responsibilities. The Picasso report showed the implication of the king in the disaster. In order to avoid the publication of the report, a coup d'etat was prepared. Miguel Primo de Rivera, the Captain General of Catalonia, rose against the government in October 1923. On 31st May of 1906, he married the Princess Victoria Eugene of Battenberg. They had 6 children. When Alphonse III and his wife went to the royal palace after their wedding, they suffered a terrorist attack with a bomb hid in a bowl of flowers. It was thrown by Mateo Morral. Although the monarchs were not injured, several people died in this attack. Alphonse XIII lived in exile for 10 years until his death in 1941 in Rome.